Another question to ask leadership is, are teams empowered to change the requirements based on user feedback? So this is not just gathering the feedback. Are you actually able to change the requirements for your product? And I don't mean like little things on your product backlog or little things that you want your product to do. What if you find out that a huge chunky thing is no longer viable or no longer what the business needs? Are you able to close that loop? Are you able to take that feedback and actually action it and make changes to the requirements? One of the things that happens a lot, especially when you do sessions where you're engaging with the people who are going to be your users and you're asking them what they want. This is especially important for business systems, but also for commercial, for B2B, but also for commercial, is that when if I ask you what do you need in a system, the first thing you're going to think about is all the things that you need now, right? All of those things are too late. All of those things are stuff we should actually already have in the product. We should already be able to do, because the delay in actually building it to get you to the point where you can use it is going to be quite tough, right? It's going to you as the business, as the consumer of the product that you're asking for, you're perhaps losing money, or you're perhaps losing time, or you're losing something by not having this problem that's been identified solved, right? But you're gonna give me this big chunk of things that you need now, and then you're going to go away and think about what might my business need over the next whatever the delivery cycle is. So let's say we are going to deliver on a 3 weekly cadence. We're definitely doing some amount of agile, but the business goes away and thinks about what's going to happen. This product's going to last us for the next few years, right? It's going to be in production for the next few years. What types of things do we think we might need to work towards in order to have that product support for that length of time? So they're going to think about what's going to happen in the future in the business. What are the choices that are going to need to be made in the business? And they'll think about that big choice that's coming up. We're going to make a big choice in this business in let's say it's 3 months time, and it could go A or B, right? I'm making it simple. It could be a octopus problem, right? But A or B. And if we need A, we've got 50 things we want, and we've got B, we've got another different 50 things we want. What happens when we get to that decision and users are able to feed back to us that we've got to that decision? Are we able to remove half of those work items, the half that we don't need? What about if we've delivered some of those 50 work items that are going to be of value? Let's say we deliver 15 of them, 15 things, and we get feedback from the users that, yeah, you're solving this problem just now. This business problem is resolved from our perspective. That other stuff that we put on your list, you've delivered the most valuable piece, and the rest is not as valuable. Can we go delete the rest of those requirements, or at least deprioritize them or not do them? Right? How quickly can you close those feedback loops? Can you actually make those changes in the system? Quite often I see teams talking to users, I see teams engaging and getting feedback, and then not being able to do anything with it. They're not actually able to change the requirements because somebody else has locked them in and we're not allowed to change them, or because we don't want them to change the system because perhaps there's a crazy contract in the way, we create a convoluted, complicated change request system that's very expensive to follow, to try and dissuade people from making changes. We don't want those things. We want to be adapting to the needs of the customer that we're serving. We're adapting to the market needs, and their market needs are changing constantly, which means our product and the things we think we're going to do in the product need to also change constantly, which means as well that if you do have contracts, you need to build into the story of the contract that these things are going to change constantly. Make sure that your teams are empowered to change the requirements based on user feedback. If your answer to any one of these questions, or the answer of your business to any one of these questions, is no, we're not doing that, then I probably wouldn't consider that you're already in the agile space, right? You're not already agile. You might be working towards it and you might have put in loads of effort, but unless you can mark every single one of these 6 questions as, yes, we do this, this is how things work here, then we're still lacking, we're still trying, we're still working towards being agile. Now, this is just a litmus test dreamed up by the US Department of Defense, but they are probably the least likely place for you to expect something with this high a bar to have come from. And I'm not going to go into a team and work with a team or a company, and if they're not doing these things, then I'm going to say, well, you guys suck, you're not agile because you're not doing this. That's not how we work towards success. But I think it's hugely valuable from the perspective of self-reflection for you all to think about the processes and practices in your organization, and how many of these 6 questions are you able to achieve, and what could you do to make it a little bit easier for the teams, for the people doing the work, to work towards this idea of not being Agile BS.